Good afternoon, Hortonville High School. It's that time of year again when we start thinking about the next school year. And at this time, we are going to start talking about the 22-23 student registration process, which our counselors will go more in depth with later in this presentation. I just want to take an opportunity. I know many of you have heard about some of the changes that the new schedule is going to allow for students. It's my intention at this point to just really briefly go over some of the changes, but we are going to get a lot more in depth with students about some of the changes that are going to occur starting in 22-23 when each of the counselors and myself get into the English classrooms over the next 3 to 4 weeks to help with the scheduling process. So briefly, I'd just like to go over some of a brief overview. So some of the terminologies and features that you will begin hearing when talking about the new scheduling process is you're going to hear terms like every other day block or everyday block or straight block, which means the same. Those classes will meet every single day. Or you'll also hear things like every other day block or AB or red-white. Those are classes that are operating similar to what you're used to right now. AB block and white classes will meet on an every other day basis, either for an entire semester or for the school year. So what will not change 22-23 is we're still going to operate on a 4-quarter system. We'll also be operating 2 semesters, and there'll still be 4 blocks of learning every single day. Now, credits, types of classes will be offered in 2 different formats. Half credit classes will have the opportunity, if they're in a straight block, everyday format, will meet for 1 quarter in length. Students will also have an opportunity to take a half a credit class, which looks very similar to what they're used to right now. Half credit classes will meet 2 quarters in length for a semester. Another change that students will not see any change of is our 1 credit classes. There will still be opportunities for students to take 1 credit classes in the red-white format. Primarily those classes will be our music classes and AP classes, but those classes will meet every other day for 4 quarters. It allows for those classes to meet throughout the school year and have a consistent learning throughout the school year during those times. I guess the biggest change what students will see is, and allows for a great more opportunities to advance and focus in areas is we're going to allow students to take 1 credit classes now in a straight block format. So if you are taking a 1 credit class, some of those 1 credit classes will be offered every single day, and they will meet only for 1 semester. So it's the same instructional time. We're just condensing it to provide more continuity throughout the curriculum, but also to allow students to advance and concentrate in areas that they're passionate in. So why the change? I know many of you have liked the change that have experienced the 8-period day a couple years ago, but like the block change and the opportunity to have less classes throughout the day. Well, again, many of these changes that we're going to talk about briefly today, but they can go more in depth in English, are very similar to what this new schedule allows. It allows for students to have more academic experiences throughout the school year. Because you are taking less classes, you're able to accelerate or focus more concentratedly in a department or in a pathway of study. It also allows you to continue to have more instructional opportunities with the content experts, with your teachers. At semester, 90% of the classes will actually start over. So at semester, it's almost going to be like a brand new school year for many students and teachers, which will be a good refreshment in mid-January. I talked about the coursework and acceleration pathway. I also talked a little bit about continuity. Some courses and some students have talked about the struggle in some cases of meeting with classes every other day. And so the straight block format eliminates that problem and allows you to meet every single day with those courses and with those teachers so that content is not easily forgotten. And then, basically it's just going to assist students because you're going to have focus on less courses at one time. Currently, many of you have 8 classes that you're worried about. And this new schedule actually can get it as low as 6 or as low as 4, potentially 6 classes at one time. So it'll allow teachers to go a little bit more in depth and allow you to devote more time to each one of your classes because you have less classes to focus on. And then, one of the biggest positives about this new opportunity is, for teachers, many teachers are currently teaching 150 to 160 students at one time. This is actually going to cut that potentially in half, which will allow for better relationships inside the classroom, but more importantly, it'll also allow for better or more timely feedback, which we know is imperative in the learning process. So briefly, what is this going to look like? As I said, the actual structure of the day is not going to change. We will still operate on a 4-block learning period each day. We'll still continue to have ELT between blocks 3 and 4. The biggest difference is you're going to see, and again, we'll get more in depth in this in your English classes, is during blocks 1 and 2. There are some classes that we talked about, like the AP classes, music classes, and some other targeted classes that will be offered in the red-white format. Those red-white classes that meet every other day, those classes will have the opportunity to be plugged into blocks 1 and 2. So again, a student could decide to take 4 straight block classes. They could decide to take 2 red-white classes and 3 straight block classes, or they could decide to take 4 red-white classes and 2 straight block classes. So again, there's a lot of options, and every student is going to be able to choose their own path that best meets their needs. So again, we're going to get more specific in your English classes. That is just a very brief overview. If you have any questions about the schedule that you would like immediately answered and cannot wait till we get into your English class, please do not hesitate to stop in the high school office, and I would love to sit down and clarify. Thank you.
Hey sophomores, Mrs. Keither here. I'll be taking over the presentation from this point after Mr. Ellenbecker. A few things before we get started. We're really excited that we were able to meet with you for your sophomore conferences this year. I want to remind you that you have already had a conversation with your counselor about courses for next year. The form that you would have that would help you with that process would be this 4-year plan that we talked about and you got a copy of during your sophomore conference. That's really going to be helpful for you in moving forward with this process. At this point in time, I also want to make sure I point out the registration paperwork that you got from your ELT teacher. So this is the form that we need you to transfer your 4-year plan onto for course registration. First of all, make sure that you put your name at the top. You're going to turn this into your to your English teacher. You're going to turn this into your English teacher because we are going to be going into your English classrooms, much like we did when you were in 8th grade. We're going to be going into your English classrooms and helping you register for classes at that point in time. I know there are some questions around which of your classes are red, white, and which are straight. Today, all we want you to worry about is finding your credits that you need, coming up with a few alternates, and thinking about classes that you might want to take next year. Whenever we're in your English class, at that point in time, we're going to talk to you about how your classes are running and how to put that all together. We want to make sure that you're supported in that process and that you're getting the correct information, and counselors will take you step by step through which of your classes are running red, white, which ones are straight, and how it all comes back together as a bright, shiny schedule for you. So today, all we want you to worry about is finding your credits and your classes. When we're in English, we'll talk more in depth about the format that they run. So moving forward, we're going to talk again about core classes. We're going to talk about electives. Want to remind you that your electives should really align with helping you to explore what you might want to do after you graduate, possible careers, possible majors. If you don't know what you want to do, our goal for your electives are that they're helping you to explore classes and subject areas that are interesting for you and could lead into potential careers or majors in the future. Make sure that you're having conversations with your current teachers about appropriate placements for next year and talk to them about pathways. So if you really like the class that you're in with them, talk to them about which classes follow after that course. If there's any questions that you have, anything that you need additional support for, a lot of staff in the building to help you, your teachers, your administrators, counselors, we're ready here to help you. Just send us Canvas messages or stop and make an appointment if there's anything that you need from us. If any specific questions come up for you regarding courses, please refer to the course offering guide. There's a lot of information in there regarding the Laude system, specific courses, class fees, course description, and prerequisites. You can click on the high school website under course registration and you can find the course offering guide, or if you're following along on the PDF of this presentation, you can click the yellow click here button. Specific graduation requirements for your class are as follows. You need to make sure that you have completed a total of 4 credits of English, a minimum of 3 credits of math and 3 credits of science, 4 credits of social studies, 1.5 credits of Phy-Ed or wellness. This would be 3 Phy-Ed courses over the course of 3 years, a half credit of health and a half credit of personal finance, computer proficiency, 1 credit of a fine art or world language that can be met through a combination of band, choir, Spanish, German, or art, 2 occupations credits, and 5 elective credits. This will total 25 credits. In addition to these specific credits, students need to make sure that they have completed and logged a minimum of 36 youth service learning hours and have passed the civics test. To log youth service learning hours, students need to access their account on the Transio website. Mrs. Peretti is our Youth Service Learning Coordinator, and she can help answer any questions that you might have regarding this website and what hours are available and how to count them. If you're a student who's planning on doing youth apprenticeship or school to career in the future, make sure that you are completing your youth service learning hours ahead of time. As we had said, we're going to start registering for your classes for next year in your English class. Now, there are lots of English classes and only a few of us, so we will be starting next week, December 13th, and working our way through all the English classes. It is going to take us a few weeks to do so, so make sure that you have turned in your worksheet to your English teacher so that when we do go into your class, your sheet is there ready to rock and roll, and it's easy for us to work on loading that with you into Skyward. Students who are interested in having a release period next year, juniors are required to have a minimum of 7 credits, and this would allow for that release period. If you're a student who would prefer to not have a release period, you will be requesting a minimum of 8 credits. Students also do need to put in alternates, so a backup plan of classes that if for some reason we couldn't fit in your first choice of classes, what would you be okay with taking? So there's a section on your worksheet for those alternates. We had talked a little bit about red, white, and straight black courses. You do not have that information at this point in time, and the reason for that is because we want to make sure that we are supporting you in that process and helping you to schedule your courses correctly. When we're in your English class, we will have the listing of classes that are red, white, and straight, and we will step by step help you to put your schedule together based on how your classes are offered and what's the right setting for you. Keep in mind that there are only 2 blocks out of the 4 blocks next year that are running red-white. When requesting your English class for next year, your 2 options are English 11 or AP Language and Composition with the CAP Writing 101. Please have a conversation with your current English teacher on the best placement for you within your English courses. All juniors need to enroll in U.S. History or AP U.S. History. Juniors can also choose to double up their final social studies credit and pick up an additional social studies. Please refer to the course offering guide on what the social studies electives are available after the U.S. History option. When looking at which math class to register for next year, the math department has created this flow chart for you. If you are a current sophomore in geometry, you're going to be looking at taking a version of Algebra 2 next year. If you're a student who is not in geometry right now, again, have a conversation with your math teacher and refer to this chart on correct placement for you within the math department. The science department has done a great job of creating this flow chart for you to refer to when you're wondering which science class to take next year. They have narrowed it down to pathways, so depending on which pathway you intend on going towards after high school, they have put in here which their recommendations would be for science classes. So please refer to this if you want to spend a little bit more time looking at it. It is in the course offering guide. Within the course offering guide, you can also read descriptions of each of these classes to know more about it. Also, please feel free to have a conversation with your science teacher. They know you best as a science student. You can let them know what you plan on doing after high school and really get their recommendations on courses that are going to help and benefit you for your future, but also classes that you're going to be successful in. You're required to complete at least one more year of a Phy-Ed class. For students who are interested in being four-year college bound, we do have a CAP Phy-Ed course that's available for you. CAP meaning that it is through UW Oshkosh, gets you college credit and high school credit, and then you can transfer those credits to the university that you decide to go to. So if you're interested in being four-year college bound and you're looking for a Phy-Ed class, we strongly encourage you to do the CAP Active Lifestyles. Other Phy-Ed classes that are available to you to take next year would be weight training 2 or 3, athletic performance, and lifetime sports. If you would prefer to not take a Phy-Ed class your junior year, you do need to make sure that you are getting that in then senior year. Personal finance is a half credit course that's a graduation requirement for all students to take either junior or senior year. If you would like to put that in your schedule as a junior, that's wonderful, and please write that on your sheet right now. If you're a student who would prefer to take it either in summer school or to take it next year as a senior, then just know that that's something we're going to need to make sure that we get in for you at that time. A minimum of 1 credit of a fine art foreign language is required for all students to complete at some point during your 4 years here. That can be met through a combination of band, choir, German, Spanish, or art. Some students may have transferred in with their fine art foreign language from 8th grade in algebra, Spanish, or German, but if you're a student who has not yet met that requirement in your time here, make sure that you are adding that to your schedule next year. Also, this is a great time to take note that if you're a student who's currently in a foreign language, band, choir, or art, and you want to continue with that next year, make sure you are looking at what is the class you would take next year and writing that on your worksheet. Occupations credits are required for you to complete. A minimum of 2 credits of those are needed. Now, typically those happen naturally as you take a variety of elective courses, and really that's just in graduation requirements to make sure that you are taking a variety of courses. So if you haven't focused some time in an area within art, business and computers and marketing, family and consumer science, within our manufacturing and engineering and technology department, or plan on going above and beyond the minimum 3 credit requirement for math and science, you may want to take a look at some classes within these departments that would meet your occupations requirements. If you're not sure which classes count for occupations, feel free to talk to your teacher or stop in and make an appointment with your counselor to talk about how those can be met. Now that we've talked about graduation requirements, we're going to give you some free time and some opportunities here to talk about what electives are a good fit for you. Now, ideally, those electives would align with helping you to explore what you want to do after high school, or align really well with what you know you want to do after high school. Make sure that you're picking classes that are a good fit for you. Have a conversation with your parents about what classes would be beneficial for you to take. And again, if you're a sophomore who's completed your one-on-one sophomore conference, we've already had those discussions and you can refer to that worksheet. But electives are really important for you to fill your day with enriching courses, classes that get you excited to come to school, that either fulfill hobbies or do help you have some career exploration opportunities within your school day. If you're a student who's interested in participating in Start College Now or the Early College Credit Program or doing Youth Apprenticeship next year, we are still going to ask that you complete a full schedule with 7 credits at a minimum. After these programs have been approved for you, then you will work with your counselor to adjust your schedule to make room for these opportunities. Now that we have gone through our full course registration presentation, a few friendly reminders. Make sure that you have put your name on your worksheet and that you've put a minimum of 7 credits plus some alternates on there. At the bottom of the worksheet is the completion requirements that need to be finished by the end of junior year. Those would be minimum requirements. If you're a student who's interested in advancing more quickly through these course requirements, have a conversation with your counselor about how those can fit in. We will be working our way through the English department classes, so it may take us a few weeks to get to you, but we are hoping that this form is completed because whenever we are in your classroom, we really want to dive deeply into talking to you about the format that your classes run and not helping you at that point in time determine which classes to take. Again, if you're a sophomore and you've finished your sophomore conference, you have your worksheet from that conference that you can transfer information to onto this worksheet and turn it into your teacher. If you think that you need some additional help, make sure that you're having those conversations with your parents. Make sure you're having conversations with teachers, other trusted adults, counselors, and administrators. We would love to be able to support you in this process. We are excited for next year and are looking forward to another fun year with you next year.